I'm Sami. I shoot videos often. I think this is something that I'm doing now. I'm a couple videos into this shit, so today I want to do a story time for you all. It's great to learn about YouTubers that you watch on, I wouldn't say a daily basis, but every so often. YouTubers that I watch when they do story times, it's just nice to learn about their experiences, and you know, sometimes it could be very funny. I don't have any haunted stories for you today. I know, the mystery book reader, I don't have a mystery of my own yet. I want to talk about a number of things. Education related. I'll stop being boring, I promise. I feel like this last year or two, I would incorporate 2018 as well, has been a very informative 2 years in the sense of getting to know myself as a person and getting to know myself in the sense of what I want to do in the future. In high school, it was always, I would always avoid the conversation of what I wanted to do past high school because deep down I really didn't know. I feel like I would only really say what everyone else wanted me to say because in high school I was scared of what life would be like without that. Teachers and everyone else made college seem so scary. My teachers did help me out a lot. I'm sorry if you hear the wind outside. It's a huge storm happening. As we know, I love gloomy weather, so this is my coffee. I was gonna have like a little snippet of me making this. I feel like me making coffee and adding some creamer and sugar isn't really content. But if you would like me to make that content, I gotcha. I feel like there were a number of things that I wanted to do before I settled on exactly what I wanted to do. And going into the technical program that I went into in my junior year, which is what I'm going to get into in the story time. Being in the technical program that I was in, I feel like that introduced me to other pathways that I could choose. So, junior year. Junior year was the hardest year out of all of the years in high school. It was a lot of stress because it was the time where you really started having to think about college. Sophomore and freshman year, I thought about college, but I didn't really think about college. Junior year, I had to think about college. I had to reach a decision of what am I gonna do. That was very scary for me. Making huge decisions at that point in time wasn't something that I was comfortable with. I felt like I had to have help. I felt like someone else had to help me, that I wasn't capable enough of figuring out on my own. Looking back, it's so weird to think that I was so scared of college classes, so scared of even trying to put my foot in the door to study for what I'm studying for. I just thought I couldn't do it. But it's all a mental thing. Education and being extremely confident in my work, that I can produce work that is relevant, that is strong. I'm one of those people that I will always try to find something to do if there's nothing to do. It gets stressful in my technical program because it was 2 years. And so my junior year, I had gone into the human services program not really knowing what I wanted to do yet. I originally wanted to go into a medical professions program, but that program had been too full. Also, didn't get to be in biology that I needed to be in there. We're not gonna talk about that. Anyways, I didn't have that prereq, so I really felt lost. I felt very lost. I felt very unsure of what I wanted to do and how I was going to get there. I relied heavily on my technical program to give me that. So going in the human services program, we would mostly do work out in the community, study the adolescent brain, very in depth. All of our placements, all of our assignments, they all linked back to the work that we did on the outside. I love that aspect of the class. I felt like at that point in time, I'd only taken classes that I really hadn't felt passionate about besides English class, because I love to read. I felt like the classes that I were taking were not helping me reach that decision of what I wanted to do after high school. I really wanted to figure it out. The first year of human services wasn't very autonomous. It was directed. Mostly my teacher gave us placements in the sense of what we were learning at that time. So basically all of our work that we did on the outside connected back into class, which ultimately made everything much easier. I had more to work with. It was nice. So I remember at the end of the year before my senior year, I talked to my teacher and I had told her that I want to do something in human services for my senior year, but I also would like to incorporate accounting. I never thought I would ever touch math in college, especially. I knew business. It's just something about business that draws me in. Flip side of businesses, the financial aspect, how bonds work, how stocks work, how all of that goes into creating a business, maintaining the business, maintaining supplies, maintaining inventory, how interpreting financial information tells you about a business. That was just interesting to me. Interesting. Like, wow. When it's like one of those things where people say, like, when they meet someone, like, they know that that's the person that they want to be with. As soon as I gave accounting the time of day, it was just over. I just knew that had to somehow be incorporated in my future, in my life. That's just something that I want to learn more about, something that I want to master and know. But I didn't want to drop human services. I've been certified for many areas, CPR. I have a huge portfolio of my human services right here, actually. This is my human services portfolio from the 2 years that I did human services. Oof. Some of my certifications are in here, and some of these are from the second year. Oh yes, they call me Samantha on this one. Nice to meet you. Bullying and harassment. I've been certified in child abuse, bloodborne pathogens. That's mandated reporting. I said that one. Paraeducator. I done some shit. I did some things. I had a lot of foundation with human services. I didn't want to drop it. It felt very irresponsible to drop it. My parents told me that if I did drop it, I would regret it. And looking back, if I did drop that, I would regret it. And it would be so hard to even visualize what my life would be like now, academically, and just in general, if I had dropped human services. First of all, going into my senior year, I did not know where I was going to college until January or February, March maybe. The college I'm going to now, I was deferred originally, and then that was moved on to regular, so then I got accepted the next time around. The college that I'm going to now, I applied early action, and I was gonna say I was rejected, but it's also another thing. Rejected and deferred are two different things. I was deferred, which means that they weren't sure. Basically, that means that they weren't going to reject me, but I wasn't accepted just yet. So I was moved on to regular action, which was later in the year, and then I was accepted the next time around. Going into senior year, I had not gotten ready for college yet. I was very stressed. I had done absolutely fucking atrocious on my SATs. The SATs, it's just wrong. It's really wrong as a concept, as an act. Don't worry about your SAT scores. Don't let the conspiracies stress you out. Horrible on my SATs. My junior year GPA, baby, that made my transcript look hot. My transcript was looking mighty fine. Colleges love to see improvement, and that's what junior year was all about for me, was getting my best grades. By my first semester grades, senior year, my grades had totally improved. My transcript looked like I had just only kept improving. Liberty, do not. Queen. I wanted Voices Against Violence as my internship so bad. I didn't feel compelled towards being in a classroom. There were other students that wanted to be in a classroom setting, but I personally knew at that point, going to school for business and accounting, I wasn't going to do something in that area. I really wanted to do Voices Against Violence. The lady that I worked with, I can't say her name on camera. We'll say her name is Anna. The lady that I worked with, Anna, she was great. She was fresh out of college. I remember having conversation with her about just what I wanted to do and my vision and everything. And I feel like my experience with her was very beneficial. I learned so much from Anna. She taught me so much about myself, so much about what I wanted to do with my path, and so much about not complicating my path. For Voices Against Violence, once I finally got that as my placement, the goal was really about getting the word about domestic violence that goes on in my community. It was very confidential. I can't say too much about my work with them. I was most drawn to human services because it taught me more about myself and other people. And I think that anyone can say that for any field. You know, I'm not saying that human services is just like the place to go if you want to find yourself. The things that I learned in human services are still things that I hold on to today. Me and Anna's biggest concern and biggest focus was just getting the word out there. It's really difficult, and sometimes people really don't give a fuck. Let's be real. It's hard to get people to listen to you, and it's hard to get people to genuinely care about what you're talking about. That was one of my biggest concerns, was that I was going to plan something informational about this cause that's so important to me and so important to so many people in our community. Domestic violence is something that is huge in this community. I will come to find out, and I'll go over that in the story later, but there's a lot of people that I went to school with that I would walk past every single day, and they would be going through so much at home, and they wouldn't feel that comfort in talking about it, feeling like you don't have an outlet, especially in high school. High school to me felt like a battleground. It felt like a very nasty place, and ever since I've been out of that situation, I've just been so much more positive. I was in such a negative space, and I feel so far away from that now. Originally, we wanted to do a huge movie screening of, I can't remember the name of the movie. It's on Netflix. Literally, the word is on the tip of my tongue. I'm gonna have to tell you guys this movie. I'm gonna put it down below. Don't worry. It's on Netflix. You guys should 100% watch this movie. It was a documentary, actually. A documentary that discussed sexual assaults on college campuses and how they are silenced and how swept under the rug they are. And you see the statistics of how many sexual assaults go on very well-known campuses. It's insane, and how many of these cases aren't even talked about, aren't even resolved, and these are happening to their students. It's so hard to believe. As a college student now, in high school I was more mortified, but in college I know that these things happen. I've gotten emails from my school when they happen. There's actually college campuses out there that don't support their students in the way that they should in this manner. It's a wonderful documentary. There were two versions of the movie. There was one for school that was a little bit shorter, and then there was the full one for more mature audiences. I'm gonna look into it. I think it's The Hunting Ground. The Hunting Ground. That doesn't sound right, but it sounds right. I'll let you guys know, and I'll put it in the description, but it's amazing, and I'm 100% gonna recommend it to you guys, because I think everyone, not even if you're going to college, just in general, it's good to know about these things that happen, because even if you don't go to college, 9 times out of 10, you live near college, you know someone that goes to college. It's really important to educate yourselves about this, especially if it's going on in your community. Be mindful and always be aware that You don't know what happens and what everyone else is going through when they go home. And I learned a lot about that after this project. I learned more about the people around me, more about the people that I see every day that I don't speak to, that I should speak to, that would benefit from just a hi, from a wave. You really don't know how much all of that means. We eventually settled on an idea to do an informational table during lunchtime outside of the lunchroom, just for kids passing through and leaving. I had so much fun with the informational table. I'm sorry if I get emotional. I hate getting sappy. I learned a lot about my classmates. We had settled on the idea to do a bunch of different activities at the table, but they were all very educational. I wanted to make sure that if we were doing this, I wanted to make sure it was a comfortable talking place, and also giving out Voices Against Violence cards for anyone that ever needs to talk to anyone, if they're in a situation, or if they know anyone that's in a situation that will need a number to a crisis line. I remember one of the things that we had done were these little quizzes that everyone did, and they had to choose like vocabulary that matched like from the word bank or something like that. A bag with like Voices Against Violence on the logo, and that was like one of the prizes. Making the topic comfortable, not something that we need to step around, because that's what it's treated as in society, and we don't want to treat it like that here. There had been kids that had walked up to us about some situations that they have gone through, of course very confidential. It was impactful. It was a huge lesson for me. That whole experience was so like relevant and impactful for me, in the sense that I feel like I learned more outside of myself. Some of the kids that did talk to us had told us a lot of things. We're in the same place. We go to the same school every single day. I walk past these people every single day. And they're fighting just such a different battle than I am. Sorry, my phone shut off. It was so impactful seeing these people that I see every day, that I may have this narrative in my head that everyone's just, going about their day. In the midst of living your life, you forget that other things that are happening, and that's how I felt. It was one of the most life-altering moments, was seeing people that I didn't even know talk to me so comfortably about their experiences, because they felt safe to do so, and that they haven't felt safe to do so. Hearing stories about how law enforcement has failed in the aspects of how they protect these kids, how the school has failed, and how they protect these kids. Hey guys, had to get on my other camera because my phone's being open. I can't change that. But how can I make it better for people that do go through that? How can I be someone that can be open? How can I be someone that can always be there for people that are going through that, so they don't feel alone? About a couple days, I won't say a couple days, it was probably a week or two, if not a couple days, go to the counselor's office, and that there was something there for me, which was very weird. I never gotten a message like that before, especially from the counselor's office. I was so excited. I thought it was like something big, like about college or something. So I rushed there. I was like, what is it? And they're like, there's something here for you from the US Senate. And I was like, no, there's nothing here for me from the US Senate. What would it be about? But it was, please ignore my nails. It seems as if I was supposed to get it on my 17th birthday, but I got it a day or two after. But that's such a good birthday present. On the back it says Bernard Sanders. I had no idea what it could be about. What had happened by that point, the informational table that I had done, it had went in the town newspaper. My work with Anna was in the newspaper, but overall, besides that, I had finished my placement around that time, and plus we weren't sure how things were gonna go with the movie that we were planning to have everyone watch. Because there was some kind of conflict, but I can't remember what the conflict was. Was not expecting anything from Bernie Sanders about Voices Against Violence and I. This is what Mr. Sanders wrote to me. Dear Sami, thank you for working with Voices Against Violence to raise awareness about the scourge of domestic violence. I am truly proud of the work that you are doing on this critically important issue that affects so many Vermonters every year. Vermont is fortunate to have such motivated and compassionate young women such as yourself working for a more just and equitable society. Keep up the great work. Sincerely, Bernard Sanders, United States Senator. And this is the seal. I can feel it. I was floored. I was like, the first thing I did was I ran to my teacher, my human services teacher, to her room. And her room was, I believe, like on the 3rd floor. I went to go see her and I'm like, you will never guess what happened. And honestly, it was something that she would have guessed. This was so out of the blue. I was not expecting any word from Mr. Sanders. I am a Bernie fan. I think Bernie's cool. And plus, Bernie Sanders is from Vermont. So to be recognized from a United States Senator about something going on in a community where he's from it was just so wild to me. It felt so amazing. I literally was telling everyone, I was like, oh my god, you will never guess what happened to me. You will never guess what happened to me. That whole experience was huge. It was just, I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about my community, a lot about the people around me. I put myself out there. Before I would have never made the initiative to go out and do something like that. It's normally something that I would do for class, something that I was told to do, that I was directed to do. But this was something that I planned, something that I had a passion for, and it showed through the whole outcome of the experience. I think about Voices every so often. I think about that experience. I never forget, because domestic violence, as time has passed, I've realized that domestic violence is something that does go on heavily in the community that I live in, but it's not heavily talked about. You would never guess that it is as much of an issue as it is until you really have to research and you really have to hear about it. And I just think that's so not okay. And that's why the informational table that I did was so impactful for me and so impactful for other people, because they genuinely felt like, since this issue isn't talked about, since no one else is talking about this issue, I'm the only person going through it. And that's not true. My work with human services shaped my mindset and shaped the way that I know I want to continue to progress. I 100% have finance a part of something that I do, a part of my everyday life. I want to graduate with an accounting degree, and that's something that I'm 100% going to do. But I want to somehow do everything all at once. I want to have human services, I want to have accounting, I want to have so many other skills. I want to be able to cook, I want to be able to travel the world, I want to be able to have time for all of this and do everything I want to do. That is the end of my story time. I hope you enjoyed my story time. I hope you didn't fall asleep. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that this story time was informative and fulfilling and relevant to you in some way. And I plan on doing more of these in the future. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a nice day, be safe, and be kind.